When we bought our Sprinter van back in 2017, the first place we went for upgrades was Agile Offroad in Santee, California. We have returned to them again and again, and now we're back with our new Ford Transit for the upgrades that will make it dirt road worthy. We are on our way to Agile Offroad, and I'm going to ask John. I think he has the complete list of what they're doing today. Well, actually, not just today. It's supposed to be a 3-day process. So we're spending the night down there. Can't stay in our van. We have to stay in a hotel.
A CA tuned, that's the brand name, front bumper includes an intercooler protection skid plate. We're having a differential skid plate added, a couple of brackets to protect the rear shocks from damage. We're getting an air compressor with the hose bibs in the front and the rear. We're getting a Q lift, 2-inch lift to the front, includes B6 Bilstein front struts. And we're getting a ride improvement package, which is the lift the back end and give it more the ability to go over dirt roads without beating each other up.
And including our driveway.
Including our driveway,
yes. We probably woke up half our neighbors this morning getting out of our driveway, scraping the ground.
And swivel seats.
Oh, yes, swivel seats has come in today too. Then what's coming on Friday?
5 new tires and wheels from Owl vans, and the rear tire carrier and the side steps.
It's actually raining. This is Trevor, and he's the guy that's going to be putting on the Q lift for us today. And these are all the parts. But explain to us, because this is the only Ford-approved lift for the Transit, isn't that right?
I believe so. When we get these Q lifts, they supply us a list of every bolt that needs to be torqued and what it needs to be torqued to. We'll fill all this out, sign all the way through. We paint every bolt, and then I believe this is returned to Quigley, and they keep a record of every Q lift.
Just to show that it's been torqued to the right.
Yes, so every tech has their assigned paint color. Oh. So we go through and we make sure those bolts don't move.
Okay. What's your assigned color?
I'll be green.
Green. Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And these are all the parts. So this is much more involved than doing a lift on a Sprinter van.
Yes, for sure. So we have these here are your strut spacers. They kind of lower it down, just make sure the strut reaches fully. You have your differential spacers. They drop down the diff so it gets a proper angle on the axle shafts. These are for your transmission cross member. You got your lift blocks, which we won't be using in this one because it's getting the leaf springs. That'll give the same lift and everything. Right here are your subframe brackets. We'll take the subframe down, put it back up with those spacers, and they'll drop everything. And then we got new U-bolts, sway bar end links, and these are for your rear bump stops to space them down to make sure they can be used properly.
But normally on a Sprinter lift, it takes maybe less than a day?
Yes.
Or the best part of a day.
If it's just a rip, we'll probably put them on for a day.
Right, but this is going to take like a day and a half or something like that.
It'll probably be about a day for the front of it, and then the rear will have to be pushed on to the next day.
Right, okay, so. Great. Okay, well thanks Trevor, appreciate it. The Bilsteins. Wow.
Oh yeah.
So tell us the difference. We were here with our Sprinter van, and you did the rip kit. Mm-hmm. How is the rip kit different from the Sprinter to the Transit?
Primarily the rip kit on this one is just shocks, struts, and rear springs, and then we're getting the lift out of the Quigley kit. So the ride improvement package is coming from the springs, not using blocks in the rear, better shocks, and better struts in the front.
And explain why it takes so much longer to do
the Q lift.
It's
pretty extensive. Yeah, so you've got to like reposition the front differential. You've probably got you can probably take some good pictures of the front differential being pulled out. We have to drop it down. We spend a lot of time on them. Yours is new, so it's easier to work on. But
Why is that?
well, because you get a rusty one in here or something that's dirty. You know, it's a little bit more work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty extensive. So, you know, just replacing the struts in comparison to a Sprinter, a strut job on a Sprinter is like, the guys can do them in an hour. And on this one, it can take them like 3 hours.
Wow. And you've seen how low our van is in the back. Doesn't it really mean that anybody with a Transit that has an extended Transit in particular really has to come in and get a lift?
Yeah, especially with the extended. Extended's making it like real bad or not beneficial.
Right.
It's great for interior. You got a lot more interior space and all that. You can carry a little bit more weight, so you got to be careful of that too. You have more room to carry weight. So, but yeah, if you put in that ride improvement package, you get more ride height out of the rear. Really makes a big difference.
How much do you get? Is it different between the Sprinter and the Transit? Or is it about the same?
The Sprinter you can get bigger tires on. So we can get much bigger tires on the Sprinter with the same amount of lift. With the Transit, we're not able to. So we can typically we'll get like a 245, 70, 17 on the Transit. And that's what comes stock on the Sprinter. So anything on the Sprinter is an upsize. So it's similar to like what you had on your two-wheel drive, on your Pleasureway.
Right. And we had wanted to put a locker in the rear diff.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the...
You can do a locker.
But...
So, I mean, obviously, if you put in something aftermarket in it, they're not going to cover the warranty of the aftermarket parts, obviously, right? So let's say you break an axle. They're going to be like, oh, okay, you know, you have an aftermarket locker in there. It's going to be important to understand that you're going to be probably liable for that axle, because it's putting a lot more load on it. Now, if they were to say that your engine were to you know, get damaged because of the locker, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be able to do that. Or even the transmission, that would be a stretch. So they'd have to kind of prove that the locker damaged it. We put lockers in the Sprinters all the time and don't see any real negative impact from them.
So weight seems to always be an issue with these conversions.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. That's partly why we're here, for sure.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
And, so obviously we can whittle down our weight quite a bit.
Yeah. The best rule of thumb is keep it within GVW, right? So if you're at GVW or slightly over or slightly less, you know, your weight's going to vary, but just be aware of it. So if you're over GVW, be aware how much you're over. You know, as you're driving it. We can't change GVW on the vehicle. There's so many other factors, stud sizes, wheels, transmissions, engines, bolts that hold on components. All those things have been tested by the manufacturer. And we can put in better suspension and better springs to hold it more weight. And we've done that for like the military, for instance. So military will say, we need to carry a bunch of weight on the back of this van, and we'll build them a spring for it. But we can't build everything around it to hold that weight. So
Talk to us about Enzo Borrego, because you go out there all the time.
Yeah. You'll be interesting. You should be able to get a lot more places than you did with your Pleasureway.
Yeah, so tell me, recommend a dirt road. Or do you know them offhand by name?
You could probably, it'll be interesting to see the overhang in the rear is going to be something that you'll have to be very aware of. You can go into like Hot Canyon. You can probably do San Felipe Wash, almost the whole thing in San Felipe Wash. So that's, you can probably do Short Wash.
You still like the Sprinter the best. That's your.
I'm a Ford guy too.
Well, are you?
I really am. I've always had Fords. My Ford E350 I still own it. I would say the biggest thing is just the lack of ride height we get out of it for the bigger tires. So that's the biggest. That would be, if there's one complaint, if there's one thing that Ford could do that it would allow us allow a little bit bigger tire, going up to like say a 285, without having to cut it all to hell, you know. Or even a 275, something a little bit bigger.
So I noticed there are these blue tape on the Vit rig over here.
That's the ride height.
Oh,
So
the
we
ride
measured
height.
it, yeah,
Oh,
we measured it,
okay,
and then we'll
okay.
give you the measurement afterwards.
Okay.
So we'll give you, like, you can see where you already scraped your rear tank. We'll fix that for
That's
you.
just from curb cuts. Just curb cuts.
Not even from Manzo Borrego yet.
No, that's next week we're going out there. The bare minimum, if you want to go off on dirt roads,
Yeah.
what is the bare minimum you should do to your transit van?
Good tires, and being prepared. Way to jack it up, way to change out the spare if you get a flat. Because now you're going into an environment where there's a chance of getting a flat, right?
Okay.
So jack, tools, do that before you go. Suspension's definitely a plus, especially when they're this heavy. When you've added that much weight, you want to get rid of the sway. It'll make it funner to
Although,
drive.
I have to tell you, John, this drives better than the Sprinter.
Probably, yeah. It's lower.
It's lower. Yeah, it was.
It's like a
but
car.
even when we had the new Sprinter,
Yeah.
it was new before
Yeah.
we did anything to it.
Yeah.
This drives much better.
Yeah, no, people don't complain too much about the
Yeah.
transits. They do like the way they ride. Yeah.
So, speaking of gear that you should take, we bought a Hummer jack from you guys years
Yep.
ago,
Yep.
and you can't get those anymore.
They're hard to get. Yeah, we still sell the jack adapter, and then we get in the jacks periodically through surplus, but they've been really hard. We're actually having one made, so we should have it in a few months, hopefully the beginning of the first quarter of 2025. And it'll be purpose-built jack for picking up real heavy overland type vehicles, primarily Mercedes Sprinters, Ford Transits, Ford E350s, dualies, all real heavy vehicles.
And before we leave, you're going to show us where we should put it
Yeah.
when we want, if
Yeah.
we need to change a tire.
Pretty similar to the Sprinter.
Talk about all the shows you do.
October was pretty busy, so we did 2 of the Adventure Van Expos. We try and hit most, if not all of them, in some fashion, either with helping out a dealer or participating in ourselves. San Juan Capistrano was nice, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a super good venue. I think now they're going to switch that to the end of the year next year, as we heard.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it'll be a long time before we see it again, but that one's really good. And then we do the Overland Expos, which are probably not necessarily van, but they're a little bit more the overland vehicles. And we're doing that because we have the Sprinter that's very capable, and we have the Ford Transit parts, and then we also have the new Ineos Grenadier.
Finally, tell me about some of the other things I noticed in your showroom. You have, you can do the mats, made by Habit.
In Habit?
In
Yep.
Habit.
Yeah.
And they use that chili witch fabric, which is
Yep.
really super durable.
Yes.
Seats. And your favorite seat is?
The Shillman seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have a huge range of stuff. You have recovery ropes and-
If you go to our website, there's a lot of stuff on there, and you can see what we've got. But there's, a lot of the stuff that we do is more, I'm going to call it practical. Like things that people want. They want more water. They want more battery for an existing RV. We do those upgrades here. We do a lot of those. We do a lot of wiring systems.
Yeah, because you do solar too.
We do a little bit with
Okay.
solar, yeah. It's not, the problem that we have is, not the problem, but one of the things that happens is people have RVs that are already built, and they bring them to us because we're not building the RVs from the ground up.
That's hard.
So it's really hard, yeah. So sometimes retrofitting vehicles can be almost impossible.
Yeah, it's a little
So,
yeah,
yeah.
risky.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
Thank you, John.
All right, no
Appreciate
problem,
it.
no problem, thank you.
Your tire guy can go back to.
So he's actually going to reposition this right here. The differential, which is out. This right here.
Oh.
So this is going to get repositioned. So that will get kind of cocked down and angled this way, correct? Kind of like this.
Wow.
So it's sitting in there like this, and then we're going to angle it like that. And the rear will be just
leaf spring?
much simpler than this,
Yeah.
but a full replacement spring.
We are on day 2 here in Santee, California. And I thought I'd share with you guys your options as far as if you have to come and stay overnight. We're at the Best Western, which is 0.8 of a mile away from their shop. So it's an easy walk. And then another mile in the other direction, we can get to like a shopping area. You do have to walk through a little bit of construction-y, it's kind of going through a revitalization area. There is an option real close here for eating. It's called the Omelette Factory, and we ate there yesterday, and it was very good. But there's also a Panera Bread down by the shopping area, and some other restaurants, Chipotle, OG's, lots of fast foody type things. But I wanted to also let you know that the train is down there, so you can catch, it's kind of the end of the line for one of the trains that goes into San Diego. So you could catch a train and go into San Diego and spend the day. We're not doing that because we have video work to do at Agile, but if we didn't have that, we would definitely be spending the day in downtown San Diego. So now we're gonna go down and grab some lunch and then walk back to Agile. These are the existing leaf springs. New leaf springs.
Your tires are all adding to the weight of the vehicle, but sit below what's in question. What we want.
That's the old one. There's the new one.
You don't want to be smacking your frame, so that is designed to stop it before you smack your frame.
Because
no sumo springs, because when you have a constant connection between the frame and your axle always riding against each other, it puts a lot of stress into the frames. And on the Sprinter vans, we've seen having sumo springs on there and that constant connection end up cracking the frames.
That's on the Sprinter that you saw? Yeah,
on the Sprinter vans. In the front, when you have them, it limits travel of the suspension. So if we're going to be putting on quality, better suspension, why limit the suspension?
Right.
Let it have its full length of travel.
Oh yeah, so now we've got that, and then he, threaded coupler. Yeah. And then, nice. Day 3, and we are in the waiting area. John keeps popping back and forth to get video of what they're working on. He says they're working on the front bumper right now. Boy, it's a good thing we got that Raptor grill. That other one would have looked odd. Look at those bugs. This is the skid plate. Lights. John snuck this in. I had no idea. Oh, look at the difference.
Well, you know what's pretty good too is
the fog. Yes.
Ashy.
This is actually the end of day 3. We thought we might be done by tonight, but no, we'll stay the night though in our van. So the lift part is done, and it's our first chance to test out the new suspension. John said it handled the last bump really well. It's Halloween. I didn't bring a mask. I'm always wearing a mask.
I got one on 24/7.
We were just talking about all the places that people come from to come here to Agile. We've seen license plates from Washington State, Nevada, Montana, Alabama, and the weirdest one,
Austria.
A couple here from Austria. Really interesting. They painted this themselves. They painted their van themselves. Shipped it over here, and then I guess they're going to tour around the U.S. And so today they're going to do the swivel seats, the air compressor, the skid plates. Is that right, John?
Yeah, skid plates. Yeah, hook up the front lights.
Oh, hook up the front lights. They have the bumpers on. Oh, this is a map of the places that these guys have shipped to. And look at that.
Pretty cool.
It is. What's the weirdest you've gotten?
It's tough.
I'm surprised there's not more in Canada.
We have a good couple of dealers in Canada, but
okay.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Mongolia
look at that.
is
Japan.
crazy. Yeah.
Mongolia.
Yeah, it's just wild.
That is wild.
Iceland, Finland,
some Australia,
Norway,
New Zealand.
Yeah. Chile.
Mauritius. Nothing in Madagascar.
No, not
Itchy Boots was. You follow Itchy Boots? There's the test drive.
Look at that. He's blasting over that.
That is amazing. The following day, we dropped the van off at Owl Van for bigger tires and wheels, a ladder, and spare tire carrier. This is a really nice feature right here. The edge on there, keep you from slipping. You got big feet, and then look at the wheels. Those look good. Look at that. We got to measure this van again, see how tall we are. And then down on this side, they trim, so they have to trim the metal so the tire doesn't scrape at a full turn. Yeah, something Ford won't do for the trail. And then here is the back, the tire carrier. It is a new day and a new time, Pacific Standard Time. This is actually our maiden voyage after all of the upgrades, almost all of the upgrades. We are heading down to San Diego once more. We'll spend the night in the Agile parking lot, and they will put on the skid plates, and we have some questions about the swivel seats, and then we'll head down to Anza Borrego. And what a beautiful day. Are that 3 fire trucks? Wow, oh my goodness. Oh. We had a great night in the Agile parking lot. Wow. And this is the infamous Nathan.
Is this going to be on YouTube?
Is it allowed to be?
I guess so.
Okay.
For you, sure.
I hear the...
All right. So we're looking for jack points at the front. You want to go off of the engine cross member.
Oh,
don't hit your head on the license plate. But this big cross member here is structural. It supports the entire weight of the engine, steering, suspension, all of that. This forward piece is part of the crash bar, which you don't want to jack up from. So you just want to go on one of these flats right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So in between the differential and your lower shock mount there, that big round piece, that's the axle tube. And your scissor jack adapter that we made for you just has a U-shape on it. Goes right underneath there.
Ah, perfect.
You can use the flat side and go underneath your diff skid, and you can raise the whole rear of the car that way. But really, a scissor jack you just want to use if you're changing a tire or something. And then I like your water tank skid plate. That's pretty fancy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you needed it.
We sure did. We need a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. It's long.
Wow.
Firmware, online updates. Check for online updates.
We'll probably come back again in the future, not too distant future, to do a locker in the rear diff. Huge thank you to John and the whole crew there. They go above and beyond. They want to make sure that you are safe and you have what you need to go off-road, and it's just very much appreciated.